Nobody saw this coming. Liam Lawson has taken the second seat at Red Bull, and with that, a storm of questions has begun to brew. The team's choice has raised plenty of eyebrows, especially with Yuki Tsunoda being passed over yet again. Many expected the Japanese driver to finally step up alongside Max Verstappen in 2025, but that's no longer happening. Now the question is, did Red Bull make the right call? Or did they just create more problems for themselves? With this decision, Tsunoda's path takes a sharp turn, but it could lead him toward a fresh start with Aston Martin from 2026. That alone makes this development even more intense. For Lawson, it's a huge leap. After just 11 races with the Racing Bulls, team boss Christian Horner seems convinced that he's the right person to support Max from next year onwards. Red Bull's recent drop in form only added pressure to finalize a reliable second driver. They needed someone who wouldn't just trail far behind or cost millions in damages throughout the season. That's where Lawson steps in. The young New Zealander has managed to turn heads in a very short span. Red Bull knew they couldn't afford to gamble on inconsistency anymore, not after being outpaced by McLaren and Ferrari in the constructors' battle. What they wanted was someone sharp, focused, and consistent. Someone who could quietly rack up points without wrecking the car every other weekend. Interestingly, many media outlets that are now questioning the decision were the same ones pushing for Lawson's promotion earlier this season. So the noise around this call might say more about the drama of Formula One than about the actual logic behind the move. Lawson, meanwhile, has expressed nothing but gratitude. At just 22, getting called up to Red Bull's main team is a massive achievement. He called it a dream come true, something he's been chasing since he was a kid. And while he knows what's coming won't be easy, he's clearly ready to give it everything. Lawson made sure to thank everyone who helped him get here, especially the folks at Red Bull and the Racing Bulls setup. He pointed out how the last 6 races were a crucial phase for him, giving him valuable insight and experience to prepare for what's next. Working alongside someone like Max Verstappen is no small task, but Lawson seems eager to learn from the best. Red Bull boss Christian Horner also addressed the elephant in the room. Why not Yuki Tsunoda? After all, Yuki has been in the system for years and shown real flashes of brilliance. Horner admitted that the choice between the two was extremely tight. Yuki impressed during the post-season tire test in Abu Dhabi. Engineers noted how sharp and responsive his feedback was. He's also no stranger to the F1 grid, with multiple seasons under his belt. But in the end, Horner said the team had to consider overall performance, especially race pace, and when they looked closely, Lawson had the edge. Horner explained that when they compared the data, Lawson was just that bit stronger during races. Qualifying stats were neck and neck, but the team believes Lawson still has room to grow. After all, he's only done 11 Grand Prix. That untapped potential, combined with his steady mindset, may have tipped the scales in his favor. Engineers liked working with him, too. He showed a disciplined attitude and got along well with the team, which always matters when you're building something long-term. At the same time, Red Bull hasn't completely shut the door on Tsunoda. He'll still be involved with Racing Bulls in 2025, ready to step in if needed. But let's be real. Chances of that happening are slim. Tsunoda himself has hinted at his frustration, saying he doesn't know what more he can possibly do to earn that Red Bull seat. And who can blame him? Even with solid test performances and positive feedback from the engineers, he's been repeatedly overlooked. For Tsunoda, the frustration is understandable. He spent 4 seasons under the Red Bull umbrella and only got a single shot at driving the main car during the tire test at the end of 2024. That's hardly enough to prove anything. And with the 2026 season approaching fast, there's talk that Honda and Aston Martin could swoop in to secure him. It's not just speculation either. Behind the scenes, Aston Martin has been making some serious moves. Adrian Newey reconnecting. With Honda, key people arriving from Ferrari and Mercedes, It's clear they're setting up for something big. While Aston Martin has long backed Lance Stroll as a core part of their plans, things could shift quickly. Fernando Alonso isn't getting any younger, and by 2026, he'll be well into his 40s. So they'll need to think about what comes next. And with the new engine regulations placing heavy emphasis on hybrid systems, Honda will want someone they trust in that seat. And Tsunoda fits that profile. Tsunoda's future, however, remains uncertain. Although he has consistently outperformed teammates like Daniel Ricciardo, De Vries, and even Lawson at times, he's always found himself in the shadow of Red Bull's bigger plans. This is despite him showing potential that many in the F1 world have praised. Yet, Red Bull's decision to repeatedly overlook him speaks volumes about how the team views his role. And with Max Verstappen's future locked in at Red Bull until at least 2028, the pathway for Tsunoda to slot into the team looks increasingly closed off. But here's where it gets interesting. Tsunoda might just use this situation to fuel his own drive. If he can secure a seat elsewhere, like Aston Martin in 2026, he could come back with a vengeance. Imagine him taking on Red Bull, not just as an outsider, but as someone who's spent years honing his skills in a competitive team. That could make for one of the most intense rivalries F1 has ever seen. Meanwhile, Red Bull's decision has added more fuel to the fire for Yuki Tsunoda's motivation. After years of being overlooked, he now has the perfect opportunity to show everyone exactly what he's capable of. If he does end up at Aston Martin, the 2026 season could see him battling with Red Bull in a very different light. He could very well become a key part of a team that is pushing for podiums and race wins, something that, for the longest time, felt out of reach at Red Bull. While we're talking about the future, the 2026 regulations will heavily focus on engine and battery performance, and Aston Martin is investing heavily in this new era. The collaboration with Honda is a game-changer, and Tsunoda could be right in the mix when it all comes together. With Alonso aging and possibly nearing retirement, Tsunoda might find himself in a prime spot to lead Aston Martin into the future. As we look ahead, the stakes couldn't be higher. Liam Lawson now faces one of the toughest challenges in F1, racing alongside Max Verstappen. It's a role that will require resilience, mental toughness, and an ability to keep pace with the best driver of his generation. Christian Horner has made it clear that Red Bull doesn't want to put too much pressure on him. His main focus should be doing the best job he can, learning from Verstappen, and staying true to his own development as a driver. But the real story here is how this all affects Yuki Tsunoda. Passed over once again by Red Bull, Tsunoda's future could now be shaped by his determination to prove them wrong. Whether he ends up at Aston Martin or finds another route to success, he's undoubtedly going to bring all his energy to the table. And with the 2026 season shaping up to be a pivotal moment in F1, Tsunoda will have the perfect opportunity to show what Red Bull missed out on.